so I see a preview. Starting.
I'm not tagging anything in. Right? You just got to release it. I'll put it out on Inside High School Sports.
Okay.
And then you got to approve it on the Western New York.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to do that.
Hey everybody, welcome to WNY High School, WNY, a high school football weekly. I'm Frank Wolf, joined by Tom Prince. He's busy on his phone. He's always on his phone, tweeting something out. Girls swimming. We're doing a football show today. He's in girls swimming mode. You don't even have your headset on yet.
Listen, everyone there out in Western New York land knows that it's me running the show behind the scenes and you just making fun of me as I do it.
Fair assessment. How's Mr. Prince today? What is it today? It's Wednesday, so yeah, it is Wednesday because tomorrow is. Last week we had to do the show on Thursday because we had no Thursday football, but tomorrow, full slate of games, so to speak. There's 3 games, so Thursday football is rocking tomorrow. You're on a game. I'm on a game. Tony Caligiuri's on a game for WNYO. He's got Scott Pilkey and Marky Johnson working with him there tomorrow. You've got Burgard and Cheektowaga, and let me guess, you got Stu Boyer, Russ Battaglia on camera.
No, tomorrow I have Jake Fyock.
You got Jake Fyock?
Yep.
Okay, you got Jake Fyock. I don't even know who's going. You are running the show. I'm just going to shut up.
I have Russ Battaglia on camera. I got Jake Fyock as the play-by-play guy. I'll be on the color guy. We're excited. We got a big slate of games starting tomorrow. There's no doubt. We got a big week ahead of us, but I think we got to start off, but let's recap what's happened because there were some fantastic performances that happened this past week.
You want to start talking about all the games, or do you want to maybe – well, we did have our sponsors up, so thanks to all our sponsors. Ad Pro is up there, G&G Fitness, Logistics Plus, Howard Hanna, and there's so many to thank. Paul Wolf Insurance. If you need insurance, call the Wolf. Forget about it.
Oh, my God. I still have not called him to make sure I gave him BS about that commercial.
You don't like the commercial? Half those guys in it play baseball for you. Max Smarter's in it. Did you know that?
I did. I saw. Trust me.
Max
I saw just about everybody's got in that one.
I'm not in it. I was supposed to be in it. True story. I was invited over for a cookout of sorts, and I didn't feel like going. There, I said it. He's probably watching.
Oh no!
I just didn't feel.
You actually admitted that?
I didn't feel like going. It was. I don't know what was going on. I just didn't feel like going. So my bad.
Wait, didn't you blow me off that day too to say that you had a party event?
Possibly. I hope not. But it was a.
It was come out.
That was our first real week of football. You know, the season started. It got off to a rocky start with Canisius not being able to play. A little rockier when Dunkirk couldn't meet their obligation with Kenny's because of COVID. So 3 teams did not get the season rolling. St. Francis went out to the Carrier Dome and took care of business, beating Liverpool. That was pretty cool to see. The other Monsignor Martin matchup that we saw was Saturday, where St. Mary's went to Kenmore and beat up St. Joe's. That was just – do you have any stats on that particular game?
So St. Mary's, Christian Lewis, 27 carries for 193 yards, 4 touchdowns in that one. And then Jack Bestpitch with 4 receptions for 38 yards.
Good job, Jack. So that was –
I also got
surprising, though. That wasn't
I also got him for St. Francis.
We'll get that. Okay. That wasn't a surprising one. We knew St. Mary's was on a bit of a roll from last year, and we know that St. Joe's is still in their rebuild mode.
You weren't surprised by that at all?
This is not the St. Joe's team that we're used to seeing where guys are big, beefy on the line, where you've got running quarterbacks that can throw the football over the field. You know, there's no Chad Kelly there anymore.
Right.
There's no Casey Kelly.
I get that, but I guess I was shocked because it was 30-8 at one point in this game. So was I shocked that St. Mary's won? No. Was I shocked the difference in the score? Yes, I was.
That was a surprise.
Yep.
Yes. That was a bit of a surprise. But I'm also looking at it this way. You've got 10 practices before the season starts.
Right.
So you didn't really have a whole lot to work with. I don't know if he was there in this game or not, but I am told a St. Joe's player left for Maritime Health Sciences, running back that was probably their best player. That's not good. So, Monsignor Martin, right now it's Canisius and everyone else. I'm sorry. Canisius,
St. Francis,
and then everyone else. I mean, there's St. Mary's had a big win on Saturday. No question about it. They still got a long ways to go to catch a team like Canisius. So the pecking order in Monsignor Martin is still Canisius, Franny's. Now I guess you throw Mary's in there, Joe's, and then O'Hara and Timon are you can flip and flop them because we don't know what we have exactly there either. Timon didn't have a great.
Took one on the chin to Medina.
Yeah, that was a tough way to open the season. Medina returns.
Absolutely.
Well, did you see the first play of the game? Was it the first play? That the very first play?
It was early in the game. Yeah.
Medina returns a kickoff, 80, 90 yards. So that was a tough opening week for Coach Matt over there, who's a great dude. Love Coach Matt. He's got a great story. Hopefully someone's going to tell it because that guy's, UB, a stint in the NFL with the Chargers. Someone get out there and do a story on this Timon coach. He's just a great guy to talk to. He's a great coach, and hopefully he picks up right where Licata left off there because Licata was doing a good job.
Absolutely. It's just you can only get so much with what's in the school too, right?
What did you hear from Franny's? You had some stats for Franny's.
Yeah, so Franny's. So Ricardo Kidd, 9 carries for 106 yards and 1 touchdown. Kamal Clark, 2 carries, 42 yards and a touchdown. Terrence Pendergrass, 9 carries, 38 yards and a touchdown. And Jimmy Scott, 3 carries, 11 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is that literally 5 touchdowns.
Wait a second. Bear did what?
2 touchdowns for 11 yards, 3 carries.
I don't know. Did he have any sacks? Because I want his defensive numbers.
I think it was a half sack is what I saw on the stats.
Okay.
But what you're talking about though is here is 4 different guys that can run the ball. You obviously had one in the goal line, right? There was a goal line package for Jimmy Scott, and then you got multiple guys that are going to carry that ball. Could be really good for what you see coming out of St. Francis.
I want to say hello to Miss H behind the board today. She's producing the show. Miss H, thank you very much for your help today. Francis is off.
Very welcome.
Pretty much picked you off the street to do this.
Pretty much.
You're doing a great job. But she used to
Thank you.
She used to produce the Bucky and Sully show, I think. Was it Bucky and Sully?
Bucky, Sully, and Bob.
Bob gone? Shorter guy, stocky?
No.
No?
He had a really big last name.
I'm gonna try. But anyways, you've done this before.
Yes.
Wow. We can replace Francis right now.
Don't tell him that.
Just
Francis,
kidding.
I didn't say it. Just remember that, okay?
I have nothing to do with this.
All right, Francis, you're still hired. You're still on the job. We'll come back to Miss H and check on her in a little bit. Thank you very much for filling in today. So that's what's going on in Monsignor Martin. Games this week, Canisius taking on Maritime. That could be like the St. Francis Maritime game was last year. Let's not kid ourselves. You saw Maritime on Saturday for a half.
Yeah, I saw. Listen, the biggest thing, and I've say this time and time again, when anybody wants to go up in class, you better be ready for the offensive lines that you are going to see and the defensive lines you are going to see at the upper classes. Bennett, that line, you saw it all in the very first drive Bennett had. They went right down, and that offensive line had a push that was unbelievable, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they put the first 8 up on the board. Now, Maritime does a great job of holding serve right there. But listen, guess what? You may be going now to see even a bigger line than you just saw with Bennett.
You are.
No doubt.
You are. There's no question about that.
The only reason I'm not saying it is because I haven't officially seen that line yet, right? But if we look at what's happened in the past, this should be the biggest line probably in Western New York outside of what we saw from Jamestown this past week, right? Because I thought that offensive line could be one of the best, if not the best in Western New York, what I just saw. But I will tell you right now, Western New York Maritimes better be ready as how are they going to penetrate against the line they're about to see?
That's a good question. Keeping out with Monsignor Martin. Now, St. Francis they're playing some team, Kelkenberg, or I couldn't even pronounce it.
Out of Ohio, correct?
Something, maybe, probably. No, we're not getting around to do this game this week. I want to say it's an afternoon game too. So you got to pick your poison there, and we're going to stick with the teams that are playing in Western New York against Western New York teams. No offense that we're not doing that game, just we don't have the time and we don't have enough people to do that. So
They're playing Saturday against Kellenberg Memorial High School, St. Francis at 1 o'clock on Saturday.
yeah, that's a tough game for us to get to that hour. Committed to 2 already. We don't want to dummy down our broadcasts. If you've seen any of the broadcasts this past weekend, they were phenomenal. The graphics that Tim Gardner did, the crew, your crew, our crew, the camera guys, that's the quality we want to show it week in, week out. We don't want to go back to where we're losing signal and scratchiness. I mean, we may screw up the volume here and there. Our replays and things like that may not always flow. We're working on things, but I think we set a precedent, and we want to keep the standard where it was.
Absolutely. And I don't want to downplay the signal thing because sometimes we just can't control it, right? It's based upon we've got Wi-Fi boxes and we're really relying on those Wi-Fi boxes. Or best case scenario is when we get to the school, we've actually can hardwire into the internet. But even then, sometimes we got to be careful because there's so much set up behind the scenes to make that happen. We really got to watch out.
And like when we have Ethernet at these schools, like Bennett, or I'm sorry, you were in Jamestown last week, did a great job. That one there, they did hardwire us in, but they didn't have those sites. We couldn't get to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and those are the social media sites that we use. So next week they'll have that working for us.
We're getting there. Like I said, it's
Rome wasn't built in a day.
It's listen, from what we've come along in the past year, I think everyone will agree. No doubt what you're seeing is exactly what you want to see and what you're happy in a broadcast. We're getting better and better. Folks, we appreciate you bearing with us along the way, but we are doing our best to make sure we promote as many of these kids as we possibly can so they've got something to put on those resumes with these college coaches that they've got something to talk about.
If you have questions, if you're watching us on Facebook, our WNY Athletics page, or the Inside High School Sports page, a football page, if you have a question for Tom or myself, by all means, type it out there, and we'll try to read it as long as it's clean. You watch the language out there. My son's watching. Hey, Michael. So just watch your language. Keep it respectful. And if you're at one of these games, if you're watching our broadcast, you never know who's watching these games. Keep the language clean. Why even have to say that to some of you are adults out there? I know you're older than I am. Why you got to swear on there is beyond me. If we see you doing it, we're knocking you off. Not just for that broadcast, we're knocking you off completely. We don't need that on this. These are high school kids. There's younger kids. Their little brothers are watching. Things like that. We don't need that kind of language. We're just going to turn the comments off if you guys can't grow up. It's ridiculous that someone even has to say it to you. I don't know where you grew up or where you think that's okay to do. It's not okay to do. So watch your language on there. Talking trash is okay. Swearing, not okay.
All right, let's get to the games.
I have like one or two of those moments.
You always got to get on a soapbox at one point, right? We got to get you up there. So let's get up there. Let's go to some of the games. Right?
Okay.
Listen, I think we start off.
Okay, wait a minute. No, we go through classes.
All right.
First.
Well, I'm going to go right to the first class, AA conference. You're going to go to game
No.
of the week, probably.
We've already did Monsignor Martin, so we're in the second class.
AA.
All right.
Right, AA. But it was an AA matchup, which had to be one of the games of the week, right?
No question
Orchard
about it.
Park and Jamestown.
You were there.
Two things we wanted to see. Was Jamestown going to step up? And what was going to be the defense and the offensive line from Orchard Park, because it was brand new that they graduated a lot of that line. Well, Jalen Butera answers that one, right? 32 carries, 339 yards, 6 touchdowns. You ready for this? Team runs for 405 yards on 49 carries. The team, 8.26 yards a carry for the entire team in that game.
Jesus.
I mean, Butera was unbelievable, and I'm going to tell you, you really saw that offensive line for Jamestown was unbelievable. Some of the holes they opened up for Butera were unbelievable. That Butera, he was already 5 yards down the field before he was touched. I mean, it was just amazing the holes that they opened up. That offensive line deserves a ton of credit down in Jamestown.
Now, Butera did this to a AA school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this wasn't a Class A lower rung Kenmore East.
Listen,
down in
I've been saying it for 2 years.
This was a top tier team.
2 years I've been saying it. Jamestown would have been one of the picks in AA. It didn't matter whether they were paying A or AA. This South A is going to match up with many teams in the AA. You know, but I also don't want to take away from the offense of Orchard Park, though, because I will tell you, this was a fluke kick, right? that turns into bounces off one of the players back to Jamestown, where it could have been Orchard Park driving down for the win. So I don't want to mimic. I don't want to
Don't discount.
don't
right?
discount at all what Orchard Park did. Ben Casella, 26, threw the ball 41 times. 41 times for 320 yards, 321 yards, and 4 touchdowns in this one. Here's what I was most impressed about. He hit 6 different receivers on the field for at least 2 receptions. 6.
That's a kid who can spread the ball.
That's a kid who's looking at what's available and given to him. That's where I give him tons of credit, right? Jacob Dobosh carried the ball 12 yards for 52 yards. 12 carries, 52 yards. I was actually impressed with what they did with Dobosh. They use him as a blocker. He's kind of like a fullback, running back type thing. Does a great job of blocking as well as being able to run the ball. Jeremy Copeland, 8 receptions, 92 yards. Dylan Evans, 6 receptions, 84. 3 touchdowns for Dylan Evans. Keegan Macabelli, 5 receptions, 82 yards and a touchdown. And Adam Velasquez, 4 receptions for 46 yards for Orchard Park. Really spread the ball. I was very impressed by that.
So now this week, Orchard Park gets a non-leaguer with Grand Island, who's coming off a big win over Cheektowaga in the non-league game there. Jamestown heads north. They're taking on Will South.
Yep.
That's a Spectrum game, so it'll be available to you on Spectrum. But WNY Athletics is also doing a rebroadcast of that game Saturday morning. So John Simon will be here on Friday night. He's going to call that game for us. We're going to record it, and then you'll be able to see it on Saturday. For those of you, because not everyone gets Spectrum. So
I don't get it.
You don't get Spectrum?
No.
All those TVs in that basement?
No. It's all direct TV is what it is. I got it. The only way I'm going to be able to watch the games.
All right. So, Double A, where were we? We were mowing. Bennett had the big win over Maritime. You can call it a big win. It was a nice win for them. I thought Rashad Perry looked excellent on the line. I believe he finished with 4 sacks in that game. So, big game for Rashad Perry and Bennett as they move to 1-0. Clarence.
Dominic Allen, 14 carries, 100 yards, was big for Bennett.
Okay, yes. Clarence.
63-12 over North Tonawanda, led by their quarterback, Garrett White, threw for 127 yards, 1 touchdown, carried the ball, 3 carries for 100 yards he ran the ball for with a touchdown. But they're bruising back. Watch out for this kid. He's big on the baseball field, too. Their running back, Scott Raymond, 4 carries, 118 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then Brady Colhane, 3 carries for 51 yards, 2 touchdowns himself. 7 touchdowns rushing in that game for Clarence.
So that was a big win for them. And then rounding out the double A's, we said Williamsville North, Lancaster.
Lancaster and Lockport.
Yeah.
So what was the big answer with Lancaster? We wanted to know what was going to happen at quarterback, right? So quarterback has been answered. Max Stolt throws for 117 yards with a touchdown and interception. But Micah Harry was the guy in this one. 22 carries, 127 yards, 3 touchdowns. And it also had 2 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown in that one. Lockport, though, led by Logan Went, 10 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. They got another receiver there in Lockport.
So Will North outlasts Williamsville East.
Yep.
That game took forever. I mean, that was a lot of scoring in that one.
A lot of running backs. Again, led by Kendall Donovan, 14 carries, 131 yards, 3 receptions, 52. DJ Leonard, 8 carries, 123 yards and a touchdown. Also had a reception for 22 yards and a touchdown. And Mitch Kelly, 9 rushes, 16 yards for 2 touchdowns.
I believe that's a Kelly of the Kellys.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
That is one of the Kellys. So we should be hearing his name a lot. We're going to go through A's, and then we'll take a commercial break. Can we get through the A's?
Absolutely, we can.
Let's keep on going here. Grand Island, a non-league win over Cheektowaga. They get Orchard Park this week, another non-leaguer for them.
Yep. So we talked about Grand Island in this last one. I told everyone, watch out. Horvath is ready to take this team over, and he did it, right? 215 yards, 3 touchdowns and interception, 4 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown. Mike Colburn, 4 receptions for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Jackson Jones, 4 receptions, 71 yards and a touchdown. For Cheektowaga, Warburton Cameron ran the ball for 10 carries.
Cam Warburton?
For 66 yards.
I'm just seeing this, but Hutch Tech is not on our website yet. For whatever reason, they haven't registered their team. If you guys know anyone at Hutch Tech, please call them and say, hey, there's a website here designed for all teams. We like to highlight every team and player. Someone from Hutch Tech needs to go onto the website, log in, and put the roster in so we can I don't know how we can do a game without rosters. We were all over Maritime's case last week. We did get the roster late, but still, you can't do anything without a roster.
I do have some stats, though, from that game. So, Star Point 20, Hutch Tech 14,
Yep.
right? We did have some Hutch Tech yards. 8 carries, David Nixon.
Yeah.
8 carries for 101 yards.
That's a big day.
Yep. Monte Mason, 13 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. But Star Point wins that one as they go up in class against that Hutch Tech, led by Carson Marcus for 203 yards with 3 touchdowns.
Good to see him get back on the field.
Yep. Evan Dean, 7 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown. And Jason Richardson, 4 receptions for 24 yards and 2 touchdowns in that one.
And McKinley was another win. Not a great game against Niagara Falls for either team, but they go up a class to take on an opponent. They're
And
at home
shut 'em out.
Riverside, and they shut Niagara Falls out.
And that's tough to do, especially at Niagara Falls, right?
No, well, that was at Riverside.
Oh, I apologize. But anything against Niagara Falls is normally the one thing they can do is run the ball. And they usually do it very well. But no, you got to give McKinley credit in this. They're led by Azari Adunagni. I'm going to butcher it, I promise. Adunagni, 7 for 14 for 114 yards, a touchdown and interception. He also carried the ball for 8 carries for 43 yards. Tyrone Hughes, 10 carries for 92 yards and a touchdown. And Darian Burt with 10 carries for 56 yards.
Good numbers.
They got a nice running back display right there at
Very
McKinley.
good numbers. Yeah, I know that they're a fast team. I don't know much about them, but hopefully we'll be able to see them up close and personally.
And I've
next
seen
few
these
weeks.
lines in Niagara Falls. They're not small in Niagara Falls. So there's got to be something with this offensive line to have those kind of numbers to be able to run through. This may be an exciting team. It'll be fun to see how this one plays out for McKinley.
Sweet Home got a win, too, in that A North division. Big win over Amherst. Amherst had Teddy McDuffie rush for 150 yards. But Sweet Home, we saw this kid Saturday. Do we not see this kid Saturday morning enjoying breakfast with his dad, DR Fleming?
Yep, DR Fleming,
That was
10
him.
carries, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Not a bad day.
Right? You also had Jake Dunstan lead the way for 10 for 16 for 143 yards, throwing the ball and a touchdown. And then Jordan Theodore, 7 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown, and 5 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. He was a big part of the offense. And then don't forget with Teddy McDuffie, he also had 50 yards receiving himself, 200 total yards himself right there.
So they take on Niagara Wheatfield tomorrow night. Game shown on that new Fox affiliate WNYO with Tony Caligiuri. Ken West, Lockport, NT. Losers last week, all in action this week. Ken West and Lockport play a big one on Saturday.
Yep.
Ken East was idle because of the Dunkirk deal. I saw Dunkirk yesterday, actually. I drove by there. Didn't get too close because what's going on down there, but I wanted to catch a little bit of their practice. They look fast and they look big.
They always are. Listen,
know,
and
but
they always can run the ball.
They look like a
Listen,
big, fast team.
You know that Dunkirk's going to be ready to play. That's a team I always plan on being in the mix every single year. Was very shocked by last season that their shortened season. I think it was just an anomaly. I think we're going to see Dunkirk come back, no doubt about it.
I hope to see it. Mark Benton, who's been around for a long time, I think he was an assistant there, maybe the head coach years past, but he's no stranger to those parts. And like I said, they're taking on Lakeshore Saturday at 11 a.m. down in, I think that's in Lakeshore.
Well, you want and Lakeshore really took one on the chin the first week versus West Seneca East.
They did.
But to go back to that Hamburg-Niagara-Wheatfield game, 2 big running backs in that one. Devin Collins carried for 11 carries, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Niagara-Wheatfield had Thomas Jesse for 4 carries and 103 yards and a touchdown in that one.
A South Frontier got off to a great start. They're 1-0, outscoring. I forgot exactly who they beat. 34-7 they beat somebody.
Frontier
pretty
beat
good.
Will South 34-7.
Yeah.
Lippert led the way with 144 yards and 3 touchdowns throwing the ball. Dylan Mack, 5 carries for 94 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus a reception for 33 yards.
I got to tell you, that was a surprise to me.
Frontier?
Well, that lopsided score.
No, not
was
to
it?
me. No. Coming off the A's and the way they played last year in that AA conference, they were in every single game. I knew this team was going to be for real. Again, remember, I still go back to what was the strength. And this line play that Frontier's got,
they're big.
they got a line. They really do. They have a AA line that's coming down and playing an A's. They're going to be in these games. In fact, the game I want to see, I want to see that Frontier West Seneca West matchup because that's going to be something. That to me is going to be something.
Yeah,
But don't forget about Vinny Monaco at 61 yards and touchdown on that one, and Gavin Borello, the catcher for Frontier, 2 receptions, 94 yards for a touchdown.
Definitely game of the week for sure. That's Saturday 7 p.m. game. No, Friday 7 p.m. Sorry, Friday 7 p.m. Frontier and West Seneca West. The Indians, that's the game. The 2 top teams in A South right now. We talked about that A South division was going to be a sledgehammer. I mean, whoever gets out of here is going to be well prepared to take on.
I mean, think about that.
Whoever.
Jamestown, Frontier, West Seneca West, Hamburg, South Park, Will East, Will South, and Amherst. Even a team like Amherst, which may not be like fully there, like think about this. Amherst just had a running back over 150 yards.
Yep.
200 total yards. And if anybody thinks South Park is down, if you think you're going to get South Park down, listen, this was a game West Seneca West did incredible. They did absolutely great. No doubt deserved that game. 3 turnovers by interceptions were big in that game for the West Seneca team. But if you think South Park isn't going to be ready to play and isn't going to get better week after week with that coaching staff, you're crazy. They still, in that game, put up 34 points. Be careful. South Park will be there towards the end.
I agree. Hamburg, a big win. Jamestown, obviously the big win. And then Amherst and Will South will be looking for wins in their first week. Amherst goes to South Park. Or they host South Park this week, and Williamsville East hosts Hamburg. I like that matchup, Hamburg and Will East, because those coaches are good. Well, no, the coach from Will East, Torillo, is good friends with Pat Cawley, the AD out at Hamburg. So
there you go.
Are they doing any side bets?
Not that I've been told, but that doesn't mean they're not gonna. But listen, we alluded to the West Seneca game. I mean, that was an incredible game, and again, led by Isaiah Simmons. It's great to see him back, right? 18 carries, 102 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he got hurt last year. I think it was it the Lockport game?
It was. I don't remember what game it was, but it was. Yeah,
there was a game that they lost that you didn't think they.
Yeah, it may have been the Lockport one. Yeah,
but then you found out this poor kid got hurt. So good to see him back on the field, Isaiah. Great to see. Good job, man. Why don't we take a quick break? We're going to return after a word from our sponsor. We'll return with the Class B's, C's, D's. We'll talk about the games. Get your Connolly Cup Trench Trophy guys. We'll mention those kids and a few other things. And, of course, coming up later, the Logistics Plus Freak of the Week. First time ever unveiling that. We're going to unveil that at the end of the show. Who is this week's Logistics Plus Freak of the Week? Coming up after a word from our sponsors.
I love being home.
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
I love being home.
Are you in pain from a no-fault car accident? Don't wait. Call RES Physical Medicine and Rehab today and take advantage of our 24 to 48-hour appointment pledge. One of our medical professionals will see you within 48 hours. RES offers DXD imaging for a more accurate diagnosis in less time. This allows our doctors to coordinate the most effective treatment plan to get you on your way to recovery faster. Feel better with RES Physical Medicine and Rehab. Click or call today to learn more.
Welcome back to WNY High School Football Weekly. I'm Frank Wolf, joined by my good buddy Tom Prince. And let's send a shout-out to the great photographer from the Buffalo News, Harry Skull, who I'm told is going to be at West Seneca West this Friday night for that matchup we were talking about. Is Harry? Do you think Miggy will be at that one?
Could be. I mean, listen, it's going to be one of the top matchups, I believe. And you are really going to see where both teams stand. I'm going to tell you right now. It is a benchmark for both teams.
Oh, I totally agree with you there.
And takes a huge lead in the South.
Let's see, Friday night, I got Michael. I got that Jamestown game I got to worry about, but John's here. Should be taking care of business. Think I can sneak over there for a half?
I think you may be able to get over there.
It's in West Seneca, though. It's like 30 minutes from here with traffic.
Traffic? It's a 7 o'clock at night. You're down there.
We'll see.
He's going to be there, West Seneca. We'll make sure on it.
I'm sure they're all excited about it. All right, let's move on to the Bees. Class B North was Albion get off to their first win of the season. Albion gets a win. Who is RBL? Royalton Barker.
That's the Roy Hart Barker.
Okay, all
yeah.
right. They put it in there like RBL. Like, what? Is this Section 5? What is this? I'll tell you, in this B North, I was at that Burgard East Aurora game. Now, East Aurora was big and tough, like they normally are, beefy.
Yep.
They just didn't have the athletes to match up with Burgard in this game. They had the lead through 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Burgard took the lead finally and hung on to it. In the second half, I was really impressed with Burgard. Didn't I give him a tongue lashing last week about listening to the coach? He knows what he's doing.
You did.
Well, maybe they listened. You think they listened?
To you on the rant? I don't know.
Well, anyways, Jason Kolb and your entire staff, congratulations. That was a nice win. Now you get Cheektowaga, and they're coming off a big win, Grand Island.
Big loss.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're coming big win by Grand Island.
Yeah.
That was a tough game for them. But Cheektowaga's got a young sophomore quarterback. They got the big running back in Cam Warburton, and they got a new head coach. So that B North, you're looking at Albion, Burgard, and Cheektowaga there. But Maryville, they lost a close one to Cleve Hill. They battled back. Now, Cleve Hill's a C team, but you got to throw that out because this is like a rivalry. I mean, they play every year, week 1. A lot of those kids came through Little League together, so they all know each other.
Cleve Hill in their win, 1 completed pass for 7 yards. That was it. 1 completed pass. They had Larry Bergen, 14 carries, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Josh Walters, 5 carries for 48.
Okay, but then Maritime loses a game to to Bennett. So, we'll see what Albion can do.
But listen,
Albion
that's not a stepping. That's not.
Albion and Maritime played at the stadium the last time we were there. Did they not?
Yes.
And that was a halfway decent game for a while.
Yep.
They didn't get blown out.
No, and that was back when Tom Formansky was the quarterback.
He was the
pitcher
quarterback,
from-
the punter, the kicker, selling popcorn. But that A North is going to be a little tougher division. I think or B North will be a little tougher than what people think it's going to be. A lot of people think Maritime's going to run away with that, and maybe they do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they do. But right now, that's
Albion,
a question mark.
54-2 in their win. 54-2. And they
job,
had
Albion.
3 running backs go for at least 46 yards. Jameek Riley, 46, Jacob Houston, 70, and J.K. Riley, 111 yards.
Yeah, so that was
But I'll tell you, Burgard, those are some running numbers there, too. Led by Lamar Hampton. 19 carries, 130 yards for a touchdown. Those were some good numbers. Doug Washington, 7 carries for 48 and a touchdown. And Kyrie Eaglin, 7 carries, 41 yards and a touchdown.
Without a doubt. Impressive numbers. I don't know what Albion's schedule looks like. I mean, they get Maryville this week. The Roy Hart game. 54-2. I don't know if they were a 52-point favorite, but
no,
you got to
I don't
believe
think
they
any
were
teams are
favored
50.
by a few touchdowns in that one there. They get Wilson and then Burgard right behind them. So they've got the next 3 weeks will tell how good this Albion team is. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, and I don't think their coach is going to allow them to look past Maryville as it is.
And listen, Cleve Hill and Maryville, 2 great coach teams right now that had to go against each other week 1.
So then in B South, West Seneca East gets past Lakeshore. That was a game shown on Spectrum. So they're 1-0. Iroquois put on a great performance against Southwestern on Saturday. It was back and forth. I mean, the way that thing ended was a great game. A great game.
Very interesting in that game. Both quarterbacks were also the top runners in the game too.
I'm not surprised by that. I'm not so
for
surprised
both of
by
them
that.
to be.
Kleitz.
For an Iroquois team to have their quarterback run
they
for the
lost
most
a
yards,
really good running back.
I get
they
that.
Lost Nolan.
But I was shocked to see both of them. I mean, Kennedy runs for 72, Kleitz ran for 44.
When we talked to Pizanka, and you interviewed him, but when I got the questionnaire back, he mentioned that they were probably going to see Kleitz run a little bit more to get to where they want to go this year. They're going to need Kleitz to do a little bit more than just picking defense apart, which he does a phenomenal job. He had a great game.
Yep.
What was his final numbers anyways?
170 yards, 3 touchdowns.
He didn't throw like 300 yards.
No.
But he was accurate when he was
How
throwing.
about Nate McGoldrick? 2 touchdowns on 4th down alone. One of them went for 32 yards where he broke a tackle right at the sticks right there and then took it to the house.
That was a great story coming out of the Iroquois Southwestern game on Saturday. You and Stu did that one. Pioneer with a big non-leaguer win over Kenmore West. They look tough again. East Aurora and Olean and Dunkirk didn't play.
Pioneer brings back their starting quarterback
Yep.
of 3 years
Yep.
and their running back of 3 years, right? So no
Something to say
doubt
there.
doesn't shock me that you saw them have a big game against Ken West.
All right, moving on to the C's. C North, Akron, Cleve Hill, Medina, and Wilson all got wins. Newfane and Tonawanda fell. Tonawanda hung in there. I forgot who they lost to on Saturday night, but that was a closer game than we thought it was going to be, didn't we?
Well, it was Eden North College is who they
Yeah.
played. Now,
And you said Eden didn't throw a single pass.
no, they didn't complete one pass. I don't
Oh.
want to say that. Did not complete one pass, still put up 27 points. But why I find that so funny is last year, all they were doing was passing the ball, right? It was unbelievable how many passes they threw in a game. And now they've switched to a running game where they've got literally, they had 4 guys carry the ball all over 60 yards. Matt Sweet, 109 and a touchdown. Stephen Woods, 78. Austin Serrata, 10 carries for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Trevor Masako, 4 carries, 60 yards and a touchdown in that one as they go wild running the ball.
Yeah. I know we talked about maybe trying to do that Eden St. Mary's game, but I don't think we have the crews to get there this particular week. So we'll catch up with Eden North Collins. We'll definitely catch up with St. Mary's at some point, especially after that big win. Newfane, 0-1. They get Medina this week. Oh, they're going to have a tough one with Medina.
Anybody who's got Medina circled on that calendar.
We get Wilson tomorrow night. So we'll see how that Bill Atlas football team's looking when they travel to, what do we got? No,
Wilson will
Wilson
travel to
Cleve Hill.
Cleve Hill.
That's Saturday, yeah.
Both off wins.
So coming off wins, 2 pretty good programs, very fast.
Wilson won
They're almost a
13-7 over
carbon
Lewiston
copy of each
Porter.
other.
Wilson wins over Lewiston
Yes.
Porter this week.
They played a team up.
Yep. And Atlas is one of the running backs, 11 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. But they threw the ball a little bit, 7 for 11, 112 yards by Tyler Usett. And then Chris Dispenza, 3 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown against Lewiston Porter.
And continuing on with C's, Alden had a win. Alden, Depew, Eden North Collins with wins. JFK, Lackawanna, and Springville did all fell this week.
And I got to be honest with you. The 2 Ds that stepped up to play the C's there, Randolph over JFK, 47-0. And Franklinville, Ellicottville, I think it was 28-14 over Lackawanna. I thought were 2 big wins by the.
I want to
the
go back to
Ds.
this. Were you surprised that Olean lost in Fredonia?
No.
No.
We were saying how good we thought Fredonia was going into this
Okay.
game.
I know, but Fredonia is one of those teams that just, after the last couple of years, we weren't sure. We knew they had talent. We knew they were physical. We knew they were tough, but they just couldn't put it all together for those big games. Like, they
Well-
were losing games that we were like, okay, Fredonia should be winning this
Yeah.
game, and somehow it's close and they're losing. How would they lose this game?
Well, you said it in last week's show. The one thing that Coach was preaching to you over and over again was he had a line he
Yes.
really believed in.
Yep.
So obviously that was the key right there. You've got your quarterback ready to go at Whitfield, right? And I was not surprised to see that Fredonia is ready to take the next step. And for those of you who think that Olean's not going to be there in the end, or Fredonia's not going to be battling, you're crazy because both teams are legit. But remember, Fredonia goes up in class right there and gets that big win.
Yep, good for them. All right, back into the C's. We talked about the Central and then the South. Allegheny, Limestone, Fredonia, and Salamanca with wins. The Thunderbirds go on to Pine Valley. Southwestern and Cassadaga all lose this week. But Southwestern, they're going to take on Salamanca. So that's a 1-0 versus an 0-1 team there. That could
Yeah.
be a pretty nice game. Is that Saturday night? That's a 7 p.m. game. No, that's Friday night. Remember we were going to send a
Yeah,
crew there.
Salamanca,
But
Southwestern. Yep.
yeah, we did want to send a crew to Salamanca to do this game, but we just did Southwestern. So we decided to do Randolph. And who are they playing again?
Franklinville.
That's to me, it seems to be the better matchup.
They played also a great matchup early on, during the playoffs last season.
They did.
There was a big performance,
What are you
though,
pointing at me for?
because there was a big performance that we didn't touch on.
Randolph's?
With Randolph's.
Yeah.
Xander Hind.
Yeah.
15 carries, 191 yards, 3 touchdowns. Randolph threw the ball only twice in this game. Didn't need to when you got Xander Hind running the ball like that.
Ty Harper said he thought he was one of the toughest teams they played all last year.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he's not surprised to see this.
They are legit, no doubt about it.
JFK 0 blanked.
I was shocked by this. I really was.
And Dennis Starr was watching. Hello, Dennis from the Connolly Cup, one of our biggest fans. We appreciate everything you do. He raised an interesting point. How many teams had players unavailable because of the practice rule? So you don't know. I mean, it's possible that half these teams didn't have
100%.
a kid they were really leaning on.
100%. But again, we can only go by what we know right now, right? And that's all and I thought that you have to give Randolph a ton of credit here. And then same thing, Franklinville-Ellicottville does the same thing against a very good Lackawanna team that we talked about, right?
Yep.
With a quarterback returning in Geschel.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, they will put this team on the back of Lucas Marsh. Boy, I've talked about this kid on the baseball front. I've talked to him about in other sports. Lucas Marsh is absolutely a kid that Ellicottville and now Franklinville-Ellicottville will say, put them on my back, and I will take you to where you need to go.
They seem to have those players over the years that they have to do that. The Granoll's kid. Who are the other guys that they've had in the last couple of years? They had two other real big studs.
Well, their quarterbacks. Yeah, their quarterbacks have been unbelievable down there. In fact, you saw them. Then they'll run, which is, look at this. Lucas Marsh, 6 for 11, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, and then ran the ball 14 times for 61 yards and a touchdown.
Another touchdown, yeah. So he had a great week. Geschel threw 2 touchdowns, 5 of 9. So they must have
73
been
yards.
the ball.
Well, obviously they were, but listen, we know and we've seen Geschel throw the ball. That's why I'm saying this is a big win. I think this is another big win by Franklinville. I was very impressed by these 2 wins for the D's to go up into the season, do what they did.
Lackawanna gets JFK this week. So
how about Depew? We didn't talk about Depew.
We didn't. I thought we mentioned them a little bit.
No, Depew
with that this week. Harry Skull's team.
And they that's maybe tough, but Depew was down in that game, right? They had to come back to win. Is what they've had to do.
Yes, they were.
Depew was led by Carson Alberti, 25 carries, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns to help Depew defeat Newfane, 19-13.
That's right. I was going back and forth. The Newfane athletic director does a great job up there. He was filling me in on the scores because I was, and then he gave me the link. They had a YouTube going to that game. I think it was YouTube. Either way, they had a live stream going. Thank you very much to all the schools that provide their own streams. It's very helpful to us and everyone. Spread that out. Tag us in your post when you're putting out your link. Tag WNY Athletics. We'll watch them. We'll spread the word that they're out there. So.
Hey, don't forget about one game in the D's. You can't forget about CSP when it comes to the D's.
We're getting the D's now. Everyone knows I'm a homer when it comes to the CSP. I just switched my laptop for the show.
Coach, remember who said it first?
I have another laptop, and Ty sent me some Wolfpack stickers, right?
You got garbage for that, too.
I put one on a laptop. Sweet Home sent me one. I put a Sweet Home up. St. Joe's, you got a sticker? Send it. I'll put it on the laptop. Jeez. The beatings I take from you people.
You better watch out, because now you're going to have stickers galore sent over here.
That drawer behind you. You know what's in there.
It's got letters and things like that. Hopefully that we're going to get them up in this room.
We're hoping to
but
get
it's got a lot of letters, some of the varsity letters that the kids get that are great, that hopefully we're going to eventually have this wall where it'll be all different varsity letters put up behind us. So if you haven't sent us a varsity letter,
and you know who you are,
please get us one. We really
let's go St. Mary's.
I think it would be great to see to see all the varsity letters of the different teams that are up there.
When I go to the Section 6 office, so they got
I was there with you.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal. Yeah, remember they were even going through some of the varsity letters and going, "Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?"
You pass with flying colors, but I keep on thinking, I want to take a couple with me. See if they'll notice. But I don't. That's like going to the principal's office when you get called to
Tim
Slade's
office.
Now DeFlip was out. It's like going to the principal's office, which I understand you spent a lot of time in your high school days.
No, I was a good boy.
Really?
I was.
I can't picture it. All right, Class D, CSP gets a big win to start the year over Franklinville. No, not Franklinville. Falconer, Casadega Valley, Maple Grove. The Titans won, big game, moving up a class over Lackawanna, and then Portville also. Panthers get a win, and then Randolph, who we talked about, Cat Little Valley and Silver Creek are looking for their first wins. I saw Coach Sean Helmer last night. Sean Helmer says hello.
I'd tell you to tell him he said hello back, but I'm obviously not going to. So, hello, Coach. How are you?
But, so he's I think he told me one of his best players went out on the second or third play of that game. Somebody got injured for him in one of the first plays of the game. So,
but listen, Salamanca is someone that again is going to be in this comp. This top four here between CSP, Randolph, Salamanca, right? Portville's another one that we're going to be talking about here also, right? There are some good teams in this division. Salamanca has some good stats against Springville. Jesse Stallman, 12 carries, 136 yards. Hayden Hogue, 8 carries, 79, 2 touchdowns. He's your quarterback, 4 for 7, 105 yards with 2 touchdowns. And then for Springville, a name, Colton Baker, 24 carries, 64 yards with a touchdown.
I don't know why I thought for a second that Salamanca was in D. They're showing here in C South. I thought they were a D school. I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. They wish they were a D school, but no. Seriously, this week's game is that Randolph FE Titans game. Portville gets Timon. Yeah, I mean, that's the game of the week. Randolph, Franklinville, Elkaville. And not just a game in D. I mean, that's a big game for Western New York football.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And especially both the wins they've come off on. I think that's a great game. Portville had a big win, too, over Gowanda, 28-6.
Yep, no question about it. We're going to take another commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the trophy winners, the Trench Trophy nominees, the Connolly Cup guys, and we're going to talk about a few other things. And, of course, that Freak of the Week, Logistics Plus Freak of the Week, we'll talk about him. One more segment coming up when we return on WNY High School Football Weekly.
Does he do car?
Forget about it.
How about home?
Forget about it.
Does he get good rates?
Forget about it.
And you're saying there's no problem too big for this guy?
Forget about it. Paul, this is Johnny, the guy we've been talking about. Johnny, Paul Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem. It's Paul, not Mr. Wolf.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Johnny, forget about it. For all your insurance needs, call 835-WOLF and...
They need another commercial. All right, before we get to the games that we want to highlight this week, let's go through the Trench Trophy Award winners. They are Joey Delgado, Jamestown, Alex Hassan, Eden, North Collins, Dante Hoos. Southwestern, he missed a bunch of last season, so good to see Hoos back out there. Conrad Christon, Frontier, he's a wrestler too. Will Rhodes, St. Mary's, Cody Shiners from Salamanca, and Elijah Williams from Cleve Hill. Did you see any of these guys?
No, but I've seen Conrad play last year, and he was unbelievable, and that's part of that line. Listen, what I was going to say about Jamestown, you could put all 5 of those names on that list right there, and every one of them could be on that list. And don't be surprised, as this season goes on, you'll see more Jamestown on there.
Connolly Cup Ad Pro Sports Week 1 top performers. They are Carson Alberti out of Depew, Jalen Butera, Jamestown, Devin Collins, Hamburg, Travis Fry, Akron, Ben Gosella, Orchard Park, Micah Harry, Lancaster, Xander Hine, Randolph, Hayden Hogue, Salamanca, Caden Holcomb, Portville, Justin Horvath, Grand Island, Aiden Kennedy, Southwestern, Trey Kleitz, Iroquois, Christian Lewis, St. Mary's, Xander Payne, Medina, your buddy, Isaiah Simmons, West Seneca West, and Nick Whitfield out of Fredonia. Nick had a great week 1 for the Fredonia Hillbillies.
So one thing I did notice, and please, this is not a knock because I thought there could even have been more names on this, but the names that you see missing from this, I thought the most, were the wide receivers. There were a couple big wide receiver games that I think that, 3 touchdown games that were out there. that the quarterback's on there, no doubt,
Yeah.
but also that I easily think there could have been some more names on there, and I
Yeah.
get we got to limit it at one point. But I did notice if you look at it, there aren't many wide receivers on there, especially when you look at the attachments to the quarterback.
Yeah, and the kid, the Orchard Park, was that Evans?
Yep, Evans, three
Yeah,
touchdowns.
yeah.
How about with Iroquois that you're talking about out there?
Yeah.
I mean,
he may not have a game like that again this year.
he had a phenomenal game and really deserved probably to be there. And like I told you, 2 fourth-down catches that went in for touchdowns were a big difference in that game.
All right, so some of the games again this weekend. Let's just quickly talk about them. Thursday, Sweet Home at Niagara Wheatfield. That's going to be a good one, I think. That could be a good one. It's a class game. It's a league game.
Yeah,
league
I mean,
matchup.
Niagara Wheatfield's coming off a tough game against Hamburg right there, right?
Sweet Home's coming off a big win.
A
They
big
got
win by
some momentum.
Amherst, right? And I think we're still learning a little bit more about those teams.
So that's got some. That's got playoff implications. Week 2.
Absolutely. Hey,
It's got
listen,
'em.
any game that's a conference game, you've got playoff implications that are attached to it.
Cheektowaga Burgard. This is a big one because Cheektowaga didn't really do what they wanted to do last week. I mean, they just didn't look like they were ready to go against Grand Island. Grand Island makes a lot of teams feel like that. But this is a big week for Cheektowaga, but an even bigger one for Burgard because I think Burgard can play with Cheektowaga, especially what we just saw last week with East Aurora. Watching that game unfold, I was looking for a couple things. Because they get down early. I was looking at, is this Burgard team going to quit? Are they going to start arguing? Are they going to start talking to the officials? Are they going to start talking to the coach, yelling and screaming at each other, fighting on the sideline? None of that happened. None of that happened. These guys were focused. They played the game the right way. And I want to say, I'm not even going to go there. They let one bad play against them that probably shouldn't have happened, didn't mess things up for them. They kept playing, and they battled through the adversity. This is a battle-tested team after 1 week.
This is going to be the battle of the running backs, right? Who's going to be able to run the
without
ball?
doubt.
Who's going to be able to run the ball? Which line's going to win in the trenches? That's going to be the key to this game. Is you got strength on strength right here, right? Each team looks at their running game as being the strength. That's what we're going to see, strength on strength play against each other.
So I'm looking forward to this one. You're there, so I'll have to watch it while I'm at Ken East at NT. Not sure what to expect there. I know NT still has – well, they have a quarterback that's back this year. Ken East, this is their first game. We didn't get to see him against Dunkirk, a program that's always trying to find an identity, so we'll have to see what they've got tomorrow night. I'll be out there with John Simon. You got Jake Fyack. So those are the 3 games for Thursday. Now, Friday, we're sending Jake down to Randolph with Norm and Jeremy and Alex. They'll be handling the duties there for Franklinville, Elkaville against Randolph, and that's big game for those D schools, no question about it. Franklinville, Elkaville, the reigning champ. Randolph has been climbing the hill, getting better each week, and now it looks like they've got at least a running game. So they've got their identity. Now, can they match up with Franklinville, Elkaville? We know they had that classic playoff game last year. I want to say it was 7. Was it 7-0 or 8-0?
I think it was 7-0, yeah.
So, I mean, these two teams know each other, and I know Randolph is out for blood this time around. Well, it's a long season, though. It's a long season. I don't know if they play twice or not.
I think they do in that division. They
So-
did at least last year. But listen, Marsh, Hind, right? Marsh for Franklinville, Ellicottville, Hind for Randolph. I'm going to be looking out. Which player is going to come up big? I bet you both guys have a big game. Let's see who comes out on top.
That's going to be a great game. We'll be watching. And then, we'll be doing the Will South Jamestown game, but it'll have to be shown in tape delay. We'll have that Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for you.
This is where Will South's going to see whether they can play, with a big team here inside their division, because Jamestown is running on all cylinders. I will tell you, when you look at an offensive line right now, for what they did, they have one of the top offensive lines in the area. And listen, I already know St. Francis has got one. I know Canisius has got one. But I'll tell you, Jamestown showed their line is very disciplined, can open up holes, and did a fantastic job. You got to go ahead and combat that now.
A couple other games that might jump out at you, maybe not. The Bennett-Williamsville North game could be a decent one to watch, should be. Traditionally, they have some pretty back-and-forth games. I don't know how good that Niagara Falls Clarence game will be, judging by last week. The Lancaster Hutch Tech game, same goes there. Grand Island Orchard Park, you don't think this is going to be what do you well, I don't want to put you on the spot.
It is a tough game. Listen,
It's a non-leaguer.
I say this all the time, and you've heard me say it already in this show.
Yeah.
You've got to now step up and play against a line that you haven't seen. This isn't Cheektowaga's line, right? You're now going to see a line you haven't seen where the smallest kid is probably 275, right? The smallest kid you're going to have is 275. Are you able to combat that from a defensive standpoint? Is Horvath going to have enough time to throw the ball is going to be the question, or run the ball? And then on the flip side, are you going to be able to get access, or is Gasella going to do what he even did against Jamestown? Remember, this is a team that just went in last year against Grand Island and put up 50. I know you're missing your top player. I get it. But I really believe this is going to be a tough one for Grand Island.
The West Seneca West Frontier game, we know that's the game of the week. That's the game of the
Love
week
it.
right there.
Love it.
McKinley Star Point's interesting. They
like
both
that
won.
one.
Star Point had a ho-hum year last year, right? They had the injuries. McKinley coming off a Section 6 runner-up the year before. Didn't really have that good of a season last year. I don't know how much they lost.
That was that
It
whole
was just-
COVID thing.
Exactly.
You know,
So we don't know how many players they had.
Both
This is a
step up
different
with
year.
double-A wins, too. Right?
and
Both
that's-
go into the double A's, even though it was, probably the bottom tier of the double A's, but you still stepped up to a bigger conference and did what you needed to do for a win.
I guess I'm interested too in this South Park Amherst game. South Park was the Section 6 Section 6 Class A champion. Went down and took it to Jamestown. Lost a lot with Jackson and Fluid. Fulgham's a good running back. He did very
Absolutely.
well last year. Now he's kind of got that team on his back. Can he get them back on the winning track here? They got Amherst. It's an away game. Amherst had the McDuffie running back had a great game. They've got their identity. They're looking to make some waves. Can they get in the winning column? In the win column, South Park. That's an intriguing matchup too. We're gonna find out if South Park if last week was just a fluke thing.
South Park threw 3 interceptions. I think once they clean up those interceptions and clean up some of those things,
Turnovers are
they're going to be
killer.
fine. I really believe this was a little bit of that 10 practices, didn't really get a chance to play games. It's our first time our guy got out there. I think you're going to see Star Point get better and better and better as this season goes on.
It's a non-league game, but it's interesting. I'd like to see the St. Mary's Eden North Collins game myself. That's an
Looks like it's going to be a
intriguing
battle of
matchup.
running games there, right? If
Yep.
Eden ran the ball as much as they did, we already know St. Mary's is going to run the ball. This is going to be, again, battle of the trenches. Which team's going to be able to run the ball more effectively?
I keep hearing year after year, Allegheny Limestone is just a tough physical team. Maybe not the most talented, but they just beat you up. It's a war. It's a fight. Fredonia Allegheny Limestone could be a very tough game Friday night. That is at Allegheny Limestone, so Fredonia's got a tough road match there. Southwestern Salamanca, we talked about that a little bit earlier. And then that FE Randolph game. Those are all on Friday night. Saturday, Tom, if you want to jump to the Saturday games, we know that St. Francis is playing a team from Ohio. I don't know how many people are going to be watching that one.
Oh, they're going to be a lot. The people
so?
want to know what's going on with St. Francis.
Yep.
They are a big draw in Western New York. No doubt people are going to be
They're
watching.
huge draw on Saturday when they play those night games.
Well, but it doesn't matter. It's still a Monsignor Martin matchup, right? Listen, Monsignor Martin is still one of your top tier teams. Are some of the best in Western New York that people still want to watch and tune into.
The Maritime Canisius game, you're there.
Mhm.
You're there. Is that Stu then? You're there.
Yes,
with
I
Stu.
am there
Okay.
with Stu. Yeah.
All right, so that's a very intriguing matchup. Joe's is playing a team called Holy Trinity at St. Joe's. That's a Saturday 1:00 game. Just a few other games worth mentioning. The Wilson Cleve Hill game we're doing.
Yep.
I'm very interested in that one. A couple of young teams going at it, and then I think the Ken West Lockport game. And those teams coming off losses, 2 Class A teams. Those teams usually play pretty tough. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, Ken West comes off a loss against a B team.
Yeah.
Lockport comes off against a loss against one of the best teams in Western New York.
Double A.
Right? And the one thing that we heard coming out of the Ken West was mistakes that I think need to be cleaned up, right?
There wasn't 5 interceptions or 5 turnovers in that one.
There was a
There was
lot.
a number of turnovers.
Yeah, there was a lot, and I want to say it may have been 4.
Okay.
But they got to clean up some of that is what's going to need to be cleaned up. It sounds like Lockport's got a passing game. Remember we talked about 10 receptions for one of their guys right there. Watch out. early on, you got to think Lockport learned something from a game against Lancaster,
Sure.
and how do you grow and take the next step?
Absolutely. You've been waiting. Like teams like Lockport, Niagara Falls, the population there alone, those two schools should have premier football programs. We should be starting and ending the show with teams like that. And you just got so many kids to choose from. We got to get those programs back on. When Niagara Falls and Lockport are good and competing, football in Western New York is so much better. But the same thing could be said with St. Joe's.
Yep.
That St. Joe's Canisius rivalry dates back to when Moses wore short pants.
Comment come through.
Another comment. Terry Kunick, thank you for watching. We love you, buddy. He had a birthday last week.
He did.
Happy birthday. 62.
He doesn't want everybody knowing that.
But we are at that time where we are going to name our Logistics Plus of Buffalo Freak of the Week. Tom, it's a no-brainer, is it not?
100%. Got to give it to him. Go ahead.
All right. Jalen Butera, Jamestown. You saw him. 6 touchdowns.
336 yards rushing.
And
I mean, just unbelievable. What when you saw him run the ball, I said it on the broadcast multiple times. This kid gets out to the outside. There are not many people in Western New York, period, that are going to catch him.
And you'll get a chance to watch Jalen Butera and those Jamestown Red Raiders tomorrow night. If you have Spectrum, on Friday night, Spectrum game. And then, of course, Saturday, WNY Athletics will be broadcasting that game with our own John Simon on the call.
Good to see John back, too.
We saw John
we
today.
missed John, yep.
Yeah, we've missed John. He got acclimated, and, it was good to catch up with Mr. Simon. And he's looking forward to that game and many more. He's doing a game on Saturday, too. He's doing the Cleveland game.
Yep.
So he's doing – wait, is he doing 3 games? Is he doing a game tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday?
Yeah,
he is. He's a busy guy. He's busier than you. I don't go that far.
Hey, we can trade schedules whenever he wants.
But we appreciate all of our advertisers and you watching this program, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. Tom, you did a great job all week getting things going with the crews and, of course, getting your notes for today's show. And have a couple good broadcasts this week. You're on 3 broadcasts this week?
No, 2.
2.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Thursday I will be, though, at the Orchard Park Grand Island game and get a chance to see that one live and up close.
Good. Which one?
The Orchard Park Grand Island game.
All right, so we'll be back next week, Wednesday, same time, same platforms. You're watching WNY High School Football Weekly. We'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.